You called him my perfect man. Was that a joke?
Maybe he treats me better than you do.
My name is Ethan Miller, and the night my marriage died started with a shine on our bedroom dresser. My wife claimed she was saving money for our future. Then a diamond bracelet with another man's initials appeared in our bedroom. When I asked, she smiled and said, "Not everything is about you. It was about to be." The bracelet was impossible to miss. Thick line of diamonds, white gold, the kind of thing you don't buy on a casual Tuesday. On the little oval plate in the center, RK. Those letters sat there like they were mocking me. "Nice bracelet," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "Who's RK?" She didn't even flinch. Leah stood in front of the mirror, lining her lips like we were talking about the weather. Dark red dress, too tight for a girl's dinner. Hair curled. Perfume thick enough to choke the room. "It's just a gift," she shrugged. "Why are you so dramatic all the time, Ethan?" "A gift," I repeated. "From who?" She rolled her eyes so hard I could see it in the reflection. "From a friend." "Don't start." "A friend who puts his initials on your jewelry?" I stepped closer, picked up the bracelet. It was heavier than it looked. "That's not a normal friend thing, Leah." That's when she smiled. That slow, arrogant smile I'd started to hate months ago. "My wife claimed she was saving money for our future," I said out loud, almost to myself. "And this is what she buys? Or did he buy it?" She finally turned to me, one hand on her hip, lipstick in the other like a weapon. "Not everything is about you," she said, calm, sharp, like a slap you don't see coming. "You're not the center of my life, Ethan. Grow up." There it was, that tone. The one that said I was small, pathetic, an obstacle to her fun. Funny thing is, the bracelet wasn't the real shock. It was confirmation. The final puzzle piece in a picture I didn't want to see. Because you don't wake up one day and find out your wife turned into a stranger. It happens step by step. First, Leah started staying late at work. She's a marketing manager, long hours happen, sure. But long hours turned into my phone died. We all went out for drinks. "Why are you so controlling?" We'd go from texting all day to radio silence from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. Then she'd come home smelling like a man's cologne that wasn't mine and say I was imagining things. Then the money. She said she was saving aggressively for a house upgrade, a better future, our dreams. I believed her. We cut back on dinners out, vacations, even little things. I watched her move money into savings accounts I never saw. And now there was a diamond bracelet with someone else's initials glinting in our bedroom. "Tell me who RK is," I said quietly. "Just tell me that." Leah sighed like I was interrupting her favorite show. "You're obsessed," she said. "It's pathetic. It's a name, that's all. A brand. You know, brands use letters, right? Or is that too complicated for you?" My jaw tightened. "You think I'm that stupid?" Her eyes flashed. "I think you're insecure. Big difference." She snatched the bracelet from my hand. Fast, like she thought I might throw it away. For a second, I saw something in her face. Not guilt. Fear. Fear of losing the gift, not of losing me. That told me more than her words ever could. "My friend Ryan mentioned you were at the Harbor Lounge last Friday," I said. "Said he saw you. You told me you were working late." Her body froze for half a heartbeat. It was quick, but I caught it. Then the mask slid right back on. "Yeah, we had a work thing there," she shot back. "You want me to send you a calendar invite every time I breathe?" "Ryan said you weren't with your coworkers," I continued. "He said you were with one guy, tall, black suit, hand on your lower back the whole time." She laughed, actually laughed. "Wow. So now you're letting your little buddy spy on me? That's creepy, Ethan. You know that, right?" She spun it like she always did. Every time the truth got close, she twisted it, shoved it back in my face, made me feel like the villain. And I'll admit it, for a long time it worked. I questioned myself. Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe I was insecure. Maybe I was the problem. But the bracelet was real. The initials were real. Her lies were getting lazy. "Let me see your phone," I said. Her eyes narrowed. "No." "You hide your screen from me. You sleep with it under your pillow, you're always deleting old stuff, I said. If there's nothing going on, give me the phone, Leah. No, she repeated, this time slower, like she was talking to a child. My phone is my business. You don't own me. You don't control me. I am not your property. That's not what I said. That's what you mean, she snapped. You want to go through my messages? My photos? What else, Ethan? You want to install cameras in my head? Her voice was rising now, sharp, venomous. She was dressed to go out, but her words were dressed for war. You're my wife, I said. If there's nothing to hide, there's nothing to be afraid of. She stepped right up to me, so close I could see the light reflecting in her pupils. You know what your problem is? She whispered. You think a ring on my finger means I stopped existing as a person. I can have friends. I can have gifts. I can have a life that isn't orbiting your fragile little ego. Friends don't carve their initials into diamond bracelets, I said. They don't put their hands on my wife in bars. She smiled again, that cold, cruel smile. Maybe my friends know how to make me feel alive, she murmured. Something you haven't managed in a long time. That one landed. Hard. For a second, I couldn't speak. The room went quiet except for the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. I stared at the woman I'd married, the woman who used to cling to me under cheap blankets in a tiny apartment, who used to laugh at stupid jokes and dream about our future, and all I could see was a stranger in my wife's skin. She turned back to the mirror like the conversation was over. Leah, I said slowly, if you walk out that door tonight without telling me the truth, things won't go back to normal. I need you to understand that. She adjusted her earring, tilted her head, and met my eyes through the mirror. Good, she said, because normal with you was boring. Then she picked up her purse and started walking toward the door. And that was the moment I realized something important. If she wanted a different kind of story, she was about to get one. It was about to be all about me. Leah slammed the front door behind her, heels clicking down the driveway like bullets fired from a distance. I stood in the hallway, fists trembling, pulse hammering, lungs refusing to cooperate. It felt like the air had turned into wet concrete and I was drowning in it. I didn't chase her, not because I didn't care, but because I finally did. For months I had been sleepwalking through suspicion, telling myself I was imagining things. Tonight, the fog lifted. I could see everything with painful clarity. Her arrogance, her contempt, her rehearsed lies. Leah wasn't sorry. Leah wasn't conflicted. Leah wasn't torn. She was entertained. And I was the joke. I walked back into the bedroom and stared at the bracelet again.
Erka.
The metal glimmered under the lamp like it held a secret only cowards dare speak aloud. I took a picture of it. Not because I needed proof, I already had proof, but because part of me needed to see it later, needed to remind myself that this wasn't a dream, that the woman I built a future with was building one somewhere else. My phone buzzed. A message from Ryan. Did she tell you? Tell me what? I called him. He picked up on the first ring, wind loud on his end. Ethan, listen. What do you know? I asked. No greetings. No pleasantries. Silence. Too long. Too heavy. Spit it out. I snapped. I wasn't supposed to say anything, he muttered. But Leah wasn't working late those nights. She was meeting someone. Guy drives a black Escalade. Plates from New Jersey. Saw them together twice. Never saw his face clearly. My stomach dropped. A businessman? A traveler? Someone wealthy enough to casually throw diamonds around like mints? Ryan kept talking, but my mind had already sprinted off without me. New Jersey plates.
Erka.
The bracelet. Late nights. Sweet perfume. Smudged lipstick. Locked screen. Deleted messages. It wasn't paranoia. It was math. Why didn't you tell me earlier? My voice cracked like glass. Because she threatened to report me at work if I said anything, he whispered. Said I was harassing her. Man, she's not who you think she is. That sentence hit harder than anything else. Because deep down, I had started thinking the same. After hanging up, I wandered through the house like a ghost. Every corner reminded me of something that suddenly felt like a lie. The framed photos. Leah clinging to my arm like she would never let go. The sticky notes she used to leave on the fridge. Miss you already? Dinner tonight. You're my favorite person. Even the couch where we binge-watched shows suddenly felt contaminated. Then I saw something I'd missed. A gift bag in her closet. White, glossy, high-end. Tissue paper stuffed in like a rushed cover-up. I pulled it out, heart pounding against my ribs. Inside were receipts. Lots of them. Spa appointments. Hotel rooms. 2 dinners at steakhouses I'd never heard of. A boutique with handbags that cost more than my car insurance. All charged to a card she told me she closed 6 months ago. The dates lined up perfectly with the nights she stayed late. The nights she was saving. The nights she accused me of being jealous. I sat on the floor and laughed. Not a sane laugh. The kind that comes out when your soul finally gives up pretending everything's okay. This wasn't an affair of impulse. This was a coordinated invasion. A betrayal with invoices. By the time Leah crept back home at almost 3 a.m., smelling like whiskey and cologne, I was sitting in the living room, lights off, waiting. She froze when she saw me, just for a moment. Then she smirked. "What, no bedtime?" she asked, voice dripping poison. I didn't answer. I just held up the receipts. The bracelet photo. The screenshot of the boutique website matching the initials. Her face didn't fall. Didn't panic. Didn't break. Instead, she grinned. Slow, wicked, triumphant. "You really went digging," she said. "Congratulations. Want a trophy?"
I stared at her, speechless.
She wasn't denying anything. She wasn't scared. She was proud. That was the moment the cracks stopped being cracks. They became a canyon. "You don't get to pretend anymore," I whispered. "This ends tonight." She leaned forward, eyes narrowed like she was about to enjoy dessert. "Oh no, Ethan," she purred. "This is just getting started." And suddenly, I understood something terrifying. Leah wasn't just cheating. She was planning something. Something worse. Something that had my name written on the end of it. And I wasn't nearly ready. I didn't sleep that night. Leah went upstairs like she had just returned from yoga class, humming, heels in her hand, swaying her hips as if nothing mattered. I stayed on the couch, receipts scattered like shrapnel, bracelet photo glowing on my phone screen. RK stared back at me, daring me to blink. By 6 a.m., I wasn't exhausted. I was electrified. Betrayal didn't feel like heartbreak anymore. It felt like strategy. I brewed coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and stared at my laptop. I typed the boutique name printed on the bracelet receipt. It loaded slowly, as if dragging me somewhere I wasn't ready to go. A search bar blinked at me like an invitation.
I typed bracelet RK.
The moment I hit enter, my world tilted. There it was, Raphael King, a luxury brand owner, mid-40s, millionaire, New Jersey resident, known for selective clientele, mostly wealthy wives of bored husbands. Photos of him lined the screen. Dark hair, sharp jaw, expensive smile, the kind of man who looked like he didn't ask permission, just took what he wanted. But it wasn't the man that froze my blood. It was the comments beneath an article. King is known for forming personal relationships with his wealthiest customers. Rumor is he signs his initials on gifts for women he calls his favorites. Most divorces happen quietly after King enters the picture. My chest tightened. My hands went cold. This wasn't just adultery. This was a pattern. Predator with diamonds. I scrolled further and nearly choked. A tag from a local nightlife blog. Harbor Lounge VIP section last Friday night. R. King spotted with mystery woman in a red dress. Leah's red dress. The one she wore when she told me she was working late. My jaw clenched so hard my teeth ached. I checked her bank statements again, the ones she thought I wouldn't access. Transfer after transfer to accounts labeled Future Fund, which was apparently code for funding her additions for a new life. It got worse. A reservation confirmation for a trip to Miami. 2 tickets. Her name and Raphael King. I pushed back from the table so fast my chair crashed. Rage didn't burn, it ignited. Not a bonfire. A furnace. She wasn't cheating on me. She was leaving me, replacing me, upgrading me like I was a cracked iPhone she'd outgrown. At 8 a.m., I marched upstairs. She was still in bed, sprawled like she owned the sun, eyeliner smudged, hair perfect. Even her flaws seemed intentional. "Wake up," I said. She opened one eye, smirked. "Didn't sleep? Obsessed much?" I threw the printed ticket on the bed. The smirk vanished. For half a second, the mask slipped. Not panic, not shame, but annoyance. Like I had interrupted something important. "Oh, that," she whispered, voice soft like poison. "I was going to tell you." "When?" "In the airport lounge." She sat up, crossed her legs, calm as a cat stretching after clawing furniture. "Look, Ethan, you've been comfortable, predictable, safe. But I need excitement, passion, someone who isn't afraid to live." "And that someone is Raphael King?" I asked. Her eyes glittered, pride, not regret. "He sees me. He bought you." She laughed. "Oh, please. You couldn't afford the bracelet, and now you're mad someone else can." There it was, the dagger she loved to twist. "You think money replaces loyalty?" I hissed. "No," she replied, leaning forward. "It reveals it." I felt something rupture inside me. A string that had held my sanity snapped without ceremony. "You're throwing away a marriage for a stranger who signs his initials on women," I said. She shrugged. "Maybe I like being chosen." "No," I said quietly. "You like being expensive." She smiled again, that cruel, satisfied smile. "Finally, you understand." She thought she'd won. She thought she had planned the escape, the narrative, the victory. But she didn't know something crucial. I wasn't broken. I was awake. And when a man wakes up at the end of his marriage, he's not the victim. He becomes the historian of his own truth. I looked at her, really looked. Not at the woman she pretended to be, but the creature she had become. Something inside me shifted. Not pain, not fear, purpose. "You're right about one thing," I said. "Not everything is about me." She tilted her head. "But from now on," I continued, voice steady, "everything involving you is." Her smirk faded. For the first time since this nightmare began, Leah looked uncertain. Good. She should be. Because betrayal isn't the end of a story. Sometimes, it's the beginning of a man who stops begging for truth and starts uncovering it. If diamonds were the headline, her phone was the full article. By the afternoon, Leah was working from home, which meant she sat at the kitchen island pretending to type while scrolling on her phone every time she thought I wasn't looking. Her laptop screen showed a spreadsheet. Her eyes were in another world. I watched her for hours. Every time a notification popped, she tilted the screen, angled her body, turned away slightly. It wasn't guilt. It was arrogance. She liked that there was something I wasn't allowed to see. She liked the power of knowing I suspected, but couldn't prove everything. That's the thing about people like Leah, they don't just betray you. They stage it. Around 4 p.m., she stood up. "I'm going to shower," she said casually. "I have a Zoom later." "With who?" I asked. She sighed dramatically.
Client.
"Jesus, Ethan, do you want their blood type too?" "Just their initials would be a good start," I said. She rolled her eyes and walked upstairs. The moment I heard the bathroom door close and the water start, I moved. Her phone lay on the counter, screen down like a dare. For months, I had respected boundaries that only went one way. Today, those boundaries were dead. I picked it up. Of course, it was locked. But Leah was lazy in one way. She never believed I was as observant as I was. I'd seen the way her fingers moved. I typed her usual code. Wrong. Then another. Wrong. Third try, the one she used on her old phone, the one she thinks I forgot. The screen unlocked. It felt like opening a door in a burning building. Messages flooded the screen. Notifications from RK Blackheart, Babe, King, and a contact saved under 3 crowns and a flame emoji. Raphael didn't even need a real name in her phone. He was a symbol. I opened the chat with RK Blackheart. Lines of messages. Late nights. Early mornings, voice notes, photos of hotel rooms, mirror pictures in outfits I'd never seen her wear in our house. Complaints about me, about how boring I was, how small my dreams were. She texted him, "He thinks I'm saving for our future. I'm really just saving time until I can leave. You make me feel alive. He makes me feel stuck. Don't worry. Once the Miami trip is done, I'll handle things." Handle things. I scrolled further and my stomach twisted. Lawyer said if I play it right, I can walk away with the house and half his savings. I just have to make him look controlling and unstable. That part won't be hard. The room went cold. She wasn't just cheating physically. She was building a courtroom story. I saw screenshots she'd taken of edited arguments, cropping out her part, leaving only my frustrated replies. She even sent him a video she'd secretly recorded of me raising my voice weeks ago when she came home at 3 a.m. She captioned it, "Look how crazy he gets. This will work." My hands shook so badly I had to put the phone down for a moment. This wasn't a messy affair. It was a setup. She wanted out, and she wanted to burn my life on the way. I took photos of everything. Screenshots of chats, the trip confirmation, her messages about the lawyer, every detail. I mailed them to myself from her phone and stored them in the cloud. If she wanted a war of narratives, I wasn't coming unarmed. I put the phone back exactly where it had been and went back to the couch, heart hammering, mind sharp. A minute later, she came downstairs in a towel, hair wet, smelling like vanilla and expensive betrayal. She grabbed the phone without looking at me, unlocked it with her face, checked something, then smiled at her screen. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Perfect," she said. She thought she still owned the script. 2 hours later, she announced, "I'll be in the study. Big client call. Don't disturb me." She walked away in a silk blouse, tight skirt, bare feet. Her performance outfit. I waited 5 minutes, then quietly moved down the hall. The study door was half closed. I could hear her laugh. That fake, breathy laugh she never used with me anymore. "Baby, stop," she whispered, voice dripping sugar. "If he hears, he'll flip. No, he has no idea. He's clueless. Honestly, it's sad." Silence. Then her again. "Miami is ours. After that, I'll make him look like the villain. Trust me. He's already halfway there." My hand gripped the doorframe so hard my knuckles went white. She wasn't just cheating on our marriage. She was rehearsing my execution. And right then, something inside me settled. The panic was gone. The hurt didn't disappear, but it changed shape. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to try to fix a woman who was busy sharpening knives behind my back. No. If she wanted drama so badly, I was going to give her a show she'd never forget. The next morning, Leah woke up early, humming like a woman who'd won something. She made avocado toast, took selfies in the kitchen, and pretended she wasn't living on borrowed lies. She tapped her nails against the counter. A rhythm I once found cute. Now it sounded like war drums. I watched her move around the house like it already belonged to someone else. Her laughter wasn't laughter. It was victory rehearsed. She skimmed social media, sipped iced coffee, answered Raphael's messages like I was invisible. But invisibility is a powerful weapon when the enemy believes you're blind. While she posed for an Instagram story, I slipped out to the garage, opened the cabinet where I kept our important documents, and checked the folders she hadn't touched. Because Leah hated paper trails. My calculations were correct. All my investments, savings, and business accounts were in my name only. The house was under my ownership, something she never cared about until she discovered Raphael could give her more. She assumed marriage meant entitlement. She assumed I wouldn't fight. She assumed wrong. When I walked back inside, she was at the dining table, legs crossed, scrolling her phone. "You seem quiet," she said, not out of concern but suspicion. "Just thinking," I replied. She smiled sweetly, like a serpent wearing lipstick. "Thinking is dangerous for you. Once upon a time, that comment would have cut. Today, it slid off me like rain on armor." "You packed yet?" she asked. "For what?" She blinked, surprised I didn't already know. "Miami?" Hello? She gestured dramatically. If you're going to mope, at least do it somewhere warm. She wanted me there. She didn't want to leave me before she destroyed me. She needed the performance, the meltdown, the moment she could record and twist. I leaned against the doorway. Tell me what's really happening, Leah. She scoffed. Don't be dramatic. Couples trip. We need it. No, I said. You need it. Her eyes narrowed, calculating. What's that supposed to mean? It means you want an audience when you end things. You need me broken so you can walk away looking like the goddess who outgrew the sad man who couldn't keep up. She didn't deny it. She didn't even blink. Instead, she smirked. Well, if the shoe fits. That was her flaw. She wanted credit for the villainy she thought made her powerful. I booked us a penthouse, she continued. Think of it as your farewell gift. After Miami, we make decisions. The word was almost funny. That trip wasn't a goodbye. It was the stage for my public execution. Sure, I said calmly. Miami it is. She expected a fight. I gave her agreement. Nothing scares a manipulator more than someone who stops reacting. Her smile faltered. Are you okay? She asked. I've never been better. Her eyes studied me, trying to decode whatever changed. But she couldn't grasp it. Leah was used to a version of me who worshipped the ground she walked on. This new version? She didn't recognize him. Good. While she packed bikinis and business outfits, I did something else. I made 3 stops. 1. My lawyer. I brought every screenshot, recording, and receipt. He didn't blink. Your wife is attempting marital fraud, he said. Good news? She's terrible at it. 2. My bank. I froze shared access, rerouted funds, safeguarded everything she thought she'd leave with. 3. A locksmith. He changed codes, keys, and security settings. Only I would control the house when the dust settled. When I got home, Leah wasn't dressed for a marriage. She was dressed for a conquest. Tight dress, flawless makeup, lips painted like she planned to ruin someone's life with a kiss. She held her suitcase like a trophy. You ready? She asked. I nodded. On the flight, she leaned her head on my shoulder like a devoted wife. Passengers smiled at us. If they only knew. Her phone buzzed. She covered the screen with her hand, smirked, typed something, probably confirming with Raphael that everything was on track. She thought Miami was her masterpiece. She thought 3 days in a hotel with a millionaire would end with her rising like a phoenix. But something about phoenixes? They burn first. I stared out the window, watching clouds drift under us, thinking of everything she believed she controlled. She didn't know that the will she assumed didn't exist was already updated. She didn't know Raphael was under investigation for financial misconduct, something I discovered while digging. She didn't know that when a woman betrays a man who has nothing left to lose, he becomes the kind of man no one should underestimate. She reached for my hand mid-flight, not out of love, but for the audience. I let her touch me, because the most dangerous part of revenge is letting your enemy believe the knife is still in their hand. Miami didn't feel like a vacation. It felt like a crime scene waiting to happen. We stepped into the hotel lobby, and Leah transformed instantly. Her posture changed, her voice softened, her smile sharpened. She became her performance. The loving wife, the radiant partner, the woman whose husband was lucky to have her. If anyone watched us walk in, they'd think we were a couple celebrating something magical. But behind her perfect smile lurked calculation. Behind mine, ammunition. The penthouse was ridiculous. Marble floors, a balcony overlooking the ocean, champagne chilling on ice, rose petals on the bed she had no intention of sharing with me alone. She spun around like a child in a candy store. Isn't it beautiful? She gasped. It's something, I replied. She stepped close, fingers on my chest. Come on, Ethan. Enjoy this. It's our last chance to reset. Reset, not repair. Reset meant rebranding her exit strategy. Before I could respond, her phone vibrated. She snatched it instantly, screen turned away, smile twitching. Spa appointment, she said quickly. Be back in a bit. She left before I spoke. The door clicked shut. Silence flooded the room. I walked to the balcony, stared at the water, and let the truth settle like sediment in a glass. Miami wasn't the playground she expected. It was the trap she built, and I improved. My lawyer had set things in motion. Financial protections. Documented proof. If she pulled the divorce trigger here, she wouldn't leave with a penny. And Raphael? He was about to be included in something he never agreed to. Half an hour later, curiosity dragged me downstairs. I stepped outside and watched the valet stand. I didn't know what exactly I expected to see until a black Escalade rolled up like a shadow. The driver door opened, and out stepped Raphael King. He wasn't taller than me. He wasn't stronger. He wasn't more handsome. He was exactly the kind of man who lived off image, a curated character who assumed the world bent for him. He adjusted his jacket, checked his watch, looked around like he owned the atmosphere, and then took out his phone. Seconds later, Leah came out of the hotel. Hair curled, dress hugging her body, smile so bright it could blind the dead. She didn't hesitate. She didn't look around. She didn't even pretend. She walked straight to him and kissed him. Not a hesitant kiss. A kiss like I never existed. A kiss like she'd been waiting her entire life for that one moment. And I stood there behind a palm tree, invisible, watching my wife melt against another man's chest while he grabbed her waist like she belonged to him. My body didn't shake. My stomach didn't drop. The man inside me had already burned those nerves to ash. Instead, I recorded it. Not because I needed proof I already had enough, but because I wanted to watch it later and remind myself of one thing. She wasn't stolen. She volunteered. They walked away together, laughing, oblivious. Raphael opened the car door for her. She got inside like she'd rehearsed for months. As the SUV pulled away, I stepped out and looked at the exact spot they stood. The exact ground where they celebrated my burial. Then, something unexpected happened. A voice beside me murmured, "You're Ethan, right?" I turned. A hotel employee, maybe mid-20s, nervous hands, eyes wide. "Yes," I said cautiously. He swallowed. I didn't want to get involved, but they tried to book the penthouse under both their names last week. The hotel refused since you were the guest on file. They were arguing about it in the lobby. My blood went still. Did anyone else hear that? He nodded. 2 managers, security, and, well, they said you were controlling, so they needed everything switched. Controlling. Her narrative. Her script. Her plan. Only this time, witnesses weren't hers. They were mine. I tipped the kid, not out of generosity but strategy. Evidence comes in all forms. His words were now part of the arsenal. Back upstairs, I sat on the balcony again. Hours passed. The sun dipped. The city lit up. Leah texted me at midnight, "Staying with a friend. Don't wait up." She didn't even hide it now. I typed back, "Enjoy yourself."
No anger. No accusations.
No reaction. Because the easiest way to dismantle a performance is to refuse to play your part. She thought betrayal was her masterpiece. But every masterpiece needs a final act. And I was about to write one she never rehearsed. The next morning, Leah strolled back into the penthouse wearing sunglasses large enough to hide countenance. Her hair was tousled, her lipstick smudged, her smile smug. The kind of smile people wear when they believe they've won before the score is tallied. "Rough night?" I asked, sipping coffee like I didn't know exactly where she'd been. She didn't answer. She tossed her purse on the couch, stretched, and opened the balcony doors as if she owned the damn ocean. "I needed space," she finally said. "Everything feels so heavy with you lately. Raphael and I talked about." She cut herself off, realizing she'd used his name. Her head jerked toward me. I didn't flinch. Silence filled the room like smoke. "You knew?" she whispered. I set down my mug. "I've known for a while. For the first time since this entire nightmare started." Leah looked rattled. Not guilty. Not apologetic. Just shocked she wasn't the puppet master anymore. She crossed her arms. "So? What now? You going to cry? Threaten me?" Beg me to stay. No, I said. Just listening. She blinked. That wasn't the script she had prepared. She stepped closer, voice softening, like she was switching weapons mid-battle. Ethan, you weren't enough. You stopped trying. You let life get boring. Raphael makes me feel alive, desired, important. He treats me like I matter.
I stared her.
Really stared. This wasn't a confession. It was a performance she'd practiced in the mirror. You mattered, I replied. But attention isn't affection, and desire isn't loyalty. Her jaw tightened. Annoyed she couldn't provoke me, she paced, voice rising. Do you know how long I've been waiting for something better? Do you know how exhausting it is being married to someone who thinks effort means existing in the same room? This was her masterpiece. Blame rewriting reality. But she didn't realize I'd dismantled her stage. I walked to the table, took out my laptop, and opened a folder labeled the King Files. Photos, screenshots,
Videos.
receipts, messages, bank statements, hotel confirmations.
Audio clips.
Leah's face drained of color. What is that? She asked, voice thin. Insurance, I said. I clicked on a recording, the one from her client call in the study. Her voice filled the room. After Miami, I'll make him look like the villain. Trust me, he's halfway there. Her hand flew to her mouth. A gasp escaped. Not because she regretted the words, but because she finally understood the consequences. Where did you get that? She sputtered. Where do you think? You weren't careful. You assumed the man who loved you was blind. She reached for the laptop. I closed it before she touched it. Her mask cracked. For the first time, I saw panic beneath the lipstick. You can't use that, she hissed. It's illegal. I'll say you were spying, stalking, controlling. I smiled. You already tried that last week, remember? Only problem? There are witnesses now. I tossed a printed statement on the table. The hotel employee's signature confirming she tried to add Raphael's name to the reservation and accused me of being unstable. Her knees wobbled. And I continued, your lawyer didn't tell you that Raphael is under investigation for financial crimes. They're building a case. Every gift he gives becomes evidence. Her breath hitched. She whispered, No, that's not true. I showed her the article. The headline was brutal. Luxury brand owner under federal scrutiny for money laundering and marital fraud claims. Her bracelet wasn't just a symbol of betrayal. It was a subpoena waiting to happen. You picked the wrong man, I said. She shook her head like reality was optional.
Rafael lo besme.
Raphael collects women, I corrected. And you're Exhibit C. Her voice shattered. You're lying. He said what you wanted to hear, I replied. The same way you lied to me. Tears welled in her eyes, not from heartbreak, but from fear. Fear of losing control, status, the life she built on pretense. She whispered, What are you going to do? I stepped closer, eye level, calm as winter. Nothing you can predict. She stumbled back as if the words themselves were knives. You can't ruin me, she breathed. I leaned in, voice low and lethal. You did that yourself. She tried to speak, but her voice broke. For the first time, Leah didn't look powerful. She looked exposed. And Raphael? He wasn't coming to save her. She chose a man who never cared. She betrayed a man who finally stopped. She started a war she couldn't finish. And I was about to show her exactly what happens when the villain she tried to create decides to write his own ending. Leah stood in the penthouse, trembling like a statue about to crack. Her confidence, once bulletproof, now hung off her like a dress 2 sizes too big. She wasn't the queen of her story anymore. She was the last guest at her own execution. I didn't shout. I didn't break anything. Rage had burned through me days ago. What remained was colder, sharper, the kind of clarity only betrayal can forge. She tried to find her voice. Ethan, we can fix this. We. No, I interrupted. You broke something you don't get to rebuild. But I was unhappy, she pleaded. You don't understand. I understand perfectly, I said. You wanted a man who made you feel important. You found one who made you feel expensive. You confused value with vanity. Her mouth opened, closed, then opened again, like her brain was flipping through scripts she hadn't rehearsed. I continued, "You didn't want love, Leah. You wanted an audience." She flinched. "Raphael doesn't love you," I added, voice steady. "He acquires you, like jewelry, like inventory, and when the authorities finish with him, you'll be nothing but an accessory." She shook her head violently. "Stop. Please stop." Funny how quickly villains hate mirrors. I walked to my bag and pulled out a folder, thicker than the first. She stepped back like it was a weapon. In a way, it was. Inside, a divorce agreement. Prepped, signed, filed electronically before dawn. "You're divorcing me?" she whispered. "No," I corrected. "You divorced yourself the moment you handed your loyalty to another man." Her face crumpled, not out of regret, out of disbelief that her script had been rewritten without permission. "You can't just leave," she insisted. "You can't make this my fault." "But it is," I replied. "And now everyone will know it." I tossed a second document onto the table, a cease and desist order preventing her from speaking about me publicly or attempting to build her victim narrative. Her signature was already there. "I never signed this," she snapped. "You did," I replied. "You just didn't know it would be used this way." Her hands shook. She reached for the paper, then froze. How did you?" "You taught me," I said. "Watching you lie every day was an excellent education." Her voice cracked. "Is there anything left? Anything at all?" "Yes," I replied, stepping closer. Hope flickered in her eyes. "Then I killed it. My piece." And I walked past her. She grabbed my arm. "Ethan, wait. You can't end it like this. Just talk to me." I turned slowly. Talking is what honest people do. You don't talk. You script. Her hand fell away like a severed connection. She sank onto the couch, mascara streaking down her face. The woman who believed she couldn't be replaced, suddenly terrified she already had been. As I approached the penthouse door, she shouted, "You'll regret this." I looked back once. "No," I said. "I regret not leaving the moment you stopped being the woman I married." The elevator doors opened. I stepped in. Her voice echoed one last time, a desperate scream without an audience. "You can't just walk away." I smiled. "I already did." The doors closed. I didn't fly home. I didn't drink. I didn't celebrate. I booked another night at a different hotel, overlooking the same ocean but with a view I chose. There's something strange about betrayal. It doesn't end when the relationship ends. It ends when the truth finally outruns the lie. As I watched the sunrise burn the horizon, I realized something. Leah didn't destroy me. She revealed me. She didn't take my future. She freed it. People think the worst part of betrayal is losing someone. They're wrong. The worst part is losing yourself trying to keep someone who's already gone. But once you stop chasing ghosts, you meet the man who was waiting behind the grief. The man who doesn't beg. The man who doesn't break. The man who becomes everything they never believed he could be. And for the first time since Leah lied about saving money for our future, I finally understood. Not everything was about me, but from now on, everything is mine.